Recently, I finished the novel that I was reading, a very good novel, which I may talk about later on in the year. And then I went and grabbed the next book in line, one that I recently ordered but have wanted to read for a long time, and that is James Thurber's The Thurber Carnival, which is a collection of his writing, mostly short stories, some autobiographical things, some illustrations, humor, and that is a great humorist, and most of which appeared in the New Yorker, for which he wrote, obviously, quite a bit. And I have started to read a couple of the stories. Now, I know people who read novels, they love being pulled into that kind of story, but they don't really understand why you would ever read a short story. What's the point of reading a short story? Hey everybody, welcome to the Sanctus Forum. I am Michael Stewart Robb, better known as Mike. And we do here lots of books and everyday spirituality. We tend to talk a little bit more on the intellectual side, so a little philosophy, way of life, wisdom kinds of things. And I try to encourage reading and thinking. And this year I've been doing some videos about genres of books because we tend to get into a kind of rut. We know how certain genres work and we're familiar with how to find and why to read those. But then there are other things out there which maybe we need a little bit of a push to read. And today I want to talk about short stories, why you would read them. And I will admit that I am not the greatest short story reader. Now, what is a short story? There's no real rule. Obviously, a story needs to begin and end, and sometimes you can end it in a few pages, and sometimes you can end it in 800 pages, and so it's not like once you hit 30 pages, it's no longer a short story anymore. Kind of a rule of thumb is a short story is a story that can be read in one session. Now, there are some short novels which probably could also be read in one long session, and I know some people are capable of doing that. I don't tend to be, so for me, short story means I can sit down, have a kind of half an hour, maybe even 20-minute, maybe an hour reading session, and I am finished with that story. I think an important element of that genre is that it's a story that can't really be broken up. You can't exactly say, well, I'm going to read these 2 pages today and those 2 pages tomorrow. It becomes hard to hold it all together if you do that. So there's a sense in which a short story needs to be read in one session. It's not just that it can be, it needs to be read in one session in order to understand it. It's a bit like a joke in that respect. You wouldn't start a joke, say a few sentences, and say, well, then tomorrow I'll give you the rest of the joke. It's not really how jokes work. But why read a short story? And the reason is, or the reasons are, all very similar to the reasons I gave for reading fiction and novels in a video earlier this year, which I'll link for you somehow. But those were that most people get their teaching about life through stories, maybe not books, but stories that are told through film or through podcasts or whatever. Stories, big part of human life. A second reason is that stories, books have a great value for money. Another thing is that we need beauty, and beauty is found in stories. And finally, truth and life can sometimes only be communicated through stories. You just can't say it in a nonfiction genre, and so we need these stories in order to get to certain aspects of truth and of life. Now, what do short stories do in this world of fictional stories? Well, I think the best thing that they do is they give us a glimpse of life, and it's going to be a short glimpse. The thing is that with the limitations of it being short, the writer can't really pull his or her readers into a new world. They can't really set a scene. They can't build character. They're going to have to, in that respect, use a lot of our common sense understandings of the world in order to fill up all that negative space that exists in a short story. And for that reason, short stories are often realist in their telling. That is, they can't really create an entirely new space, something that's very different from our world. They're going to have to build off of the one that they think that we share. And what it will be is something a lot like a photograph, where they're going to show you an aspect or a glimpse of life, and not many glimpses, but just one, and they're going to say, what do you think of this? Or isn't this interesting? Or isn't this beautiful? Well, another element of short stories, or something that is a good reason to read them, is that they may actually fit your schedule or mental state better than reading longer stories, novels, and that sort of thing. I know that I have had many times in my life when I couldn't follow a story over a long period of time, because a novel, you're going to need days, if not months, to read it, and therefore you're going to have to always stay in that story in order to follow what's going on. Well, sometimes that just doesn't work. And the good thing about a short story being something that should be read and completed within one session is you're done. You can close it, and then you can wait 3 weeks and you can read the next story. It may just fit to, if you have time in the evening, or if you have time in the morning or during your break, to read that one story, and then there's no obligation to read again the next day and the next day and the next day, so that you can stay in it. It may fit where you are in life now better. And the last reason why you should be reading short stories is that some of the best stories and some of the best writers are only available in short story format. And if you say, well, I don't read short stories, well, you're going to cut yourself off from accessing certain authors whose best stuff is really in short stories. I'm thinking of a Russian writer, Chekhov, who's kind of contemporary with Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, and he has this book, short story called The Kiss, which I accidentally stole from a Starbucks many years ago. I didn't know that it wasn't free. I don't quite know how to give it back now, but Chekhov's stuff, all of it, the best, it's all short stories. So if you want to read him, you're going to have to open yourself up to short stories. Another person, and this starts to get into my recommendations for what to read or where to start, Flannery O'Connor. All of her best stuff is short stories, and these are excellent stories, like world-class literature, and it's short stories. And this is a great collection, but there are smaller ones. I love reading Flannery O'Connor, and just, if you don't read short stories, you won't get to read it. There are other things like mystery novels, Sherlock Holmes, lots of short stories there, well known. Dorothy Sayers, her detective, Peter Wimsey, she has a bunch of stories. This is the collection of them here, Lord Peter. Fairy tales are short stories. Whether they actually count as short stories, I don't really know, but they are short. Brothers Grimm, Hans Christian Andersen, these are our copies which we read to our kids. But then there's lots of other things. I'm most familiar with the American stuff, so this collection by J.D. Salinger is really great. I've got Ernest Hemingway here, Herman Melville. These are not hard to find, obviously. You'll be able to discover these sorts of things immediately. This here is a little collection from Truman Capote. It has Breakfast at Tiffany's in it, but also a really great little short story called A Christmas Memory, which is a good place to start with that kind of thing. Other international things, non-American things. French, Maupassant, my French teacher made me read that. The Russian stuff. An excellent story is Leo Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And so things like this, Death of Ivan Ilyich, Flannery O'Connor, these things just belong to world literature. These are just some of the best stories out there, and voila, they are in short story format. I'd love to see what your recommendations are and other people watching this video. So if you have your top stories, let us know, let me know in the comments so we can see those and read them and share. And if you are just starting, you're going to pick a short story, you maybe read one, come back, let me know what you've read, what you've started, and that way we can just continue to encourage more reading, more thinking. Thanks for being here. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, you should probably be subscribed, and you could like this video with your finger. And otherwise, I will see you next time, next video. Bye. Oh, and James Thurber comes out of Ohio. Good stuff comes from Ohio.